someone's day. So.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in our own lives, whether it's a loved one that we know who's been struggling or just with the current times with Black Lives Matter with this quarantine. We all have been affected with mental health. All of us have been feeling anxious and, triggered and all that stuff. Okay, everyone, part two, we're about to get started. So let's jump into it. Woo! Okay, you guys, once again, feel free, leave your questions and comments in the section below. Hi, Victor.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. I have Mimi here.
Hi, Mimi.
Yep.
Nice to meet you guys
She's the
virtually.
she's the director of behavioral health at Venice Family Clinic.
Amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
So we're in Santa Monica right now. Where are you?
I'm actually in Santa Monica too. I live
Oh,
here.
perfect. We could have all done this in the same room together. Oh well.
I
Well,
know.
huh? Yeah.
Yes. So do you guys want to start, I'll introduce myself and then we can go around kind of in a circle?
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome. Cool. So, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Megan Gallagher. I am a two-time TED Talk speaker, #1 best-selling author on Amazon. I am a host for AfterBuzz TV, as well as an anxiety advocate for teenagers and the host of my own podcast, Reaching New Heights.
Woohoo. Oh, okay. And yeah, I'm Viktor Simco. I originally grew up in Texas. I was born in Texas and moved to Minnesota to pursue a snowboarding career and work through college and everything, and then actually moved out to California 4 years ago. And now I'm actually I was in music doing some tour management stuff. My brother's actually a musician, and now I'm in real estate at a commercial real estate investment firm, like a private equity firm. And so and yeah, that's it for me right now. Here,
I love
before I
it.
jump into too much.
Okay, hi. And my name is Mimi Lind, and I'm the Director of Behavioral Health here at Venice Family Clinic. The Behavioral Health Department oversees the services for substance use disorders, as well as people who are struggling with domestic violence and relationship abuse and all mental health issues. So we have all of that here at the clinic, and the clinic is one of the largest nonprofit medical settings in the west side of Los Angeles. And it's an honor to be here. I grew up in Hawaii, so it's you guys are super fun to be with. So thanks for having us.
Of course. And I'm so honored and excited to be talking with you both because I feel that, we may all have our own stories and journeys with mental health, but I think with the current times and especially what Venice Family Clinic does, it's just so powerful. And I would love if you, Mimi, could share a little more about specifically, during this pandemic and during just I feel in general there has been a pandemic with homelessness lately. I would love if you could share just kind of what Venice Family Clinic does for those who may be, suffering.
Wonderful. Well, traditionally we are at the end of the day a medical clinic. So one of the majority of work that we do is providing primary medical care to folks in need. So it's anyone on the west side or anyone in LA County, but specifically we specialize with people who are experiencing homelessness because we've set up our services to make it very easy for everyone to access care. So we have street outreach teams that go out to Venice Beach, Santa Monica Beach, go into the mountains of Malibu, and actually hike into the trails to help people who are living in the mountains or living on the beach. And we provide mental health care through psychiatry. We provide medical care. Our doctors and nurse practitioners and physician's assistants have backpacks with antibiotics and with medical equipment in their backpack. They're testing people's blood sugars. And we're doing as much as we can because we know that depending on your health and your mental health, some people don't feel comfortable coming to a clinic. And then add the pandemic on top of that, and no one wants to come into a clinic. None of us are going to clinics anymore. And so it's even more important right now that we're doing that work. So it's primary medical care. And then when we find out if someone has a substance use problem or mental health problem, we either see them here at our clinic. We provide medication for people struggling with opiate addiction like heroin or painkillers. We have medication for people who are wanting to decrease their alcohol use. And then we have counseling, drug counseling, and mental health counseling. And then for anyone having experiences with depression, anxiety, panic, schizophrenia, any of that, we help people either here at our site or refer to places that might better serve them.
I love that. That's just so powerful, Mimi. And genuinely, thank you so much for just doing what you do, because I really feel that there is just such a stigma with people judging others who may be homeless or in a situation similar where, you know, oh, well, they got themselves in that situation, or, you know, there's so many things, especially mental health needs, where someone, you know, they do need therapy, they do need medication, and they don't have the financial, you know, means or the sources, the network to really do that.
I think it's important for people to remember that most people were not born homeless.
Right.
No one ever had a goal of being homeless.
Mm.
And a lot of us are way closer than we think. And a lot of people who I've met, I've been here for 25 years, and a lot of people I've met who are now homeless just had bad luck. We have a lot of people who, for example, were contractors or handymen, painters, and they had the one fall from the ladder. They broke their arm. They couldn't make enough money to pay that month or the next month's rent. They didn't have health insurance. They didn't have any other kind of savings because they were living kind of paycheck to paycheck like many people. And so they stayed at friends' houses, and then they got embarrassed that they couldn't get back on their feet fast enough because maybe the arm or the hip wasn't healing, and they ended up homeless. And a lot of people did have friends they could stay with, but they were embarrassed and ashamed, and so they started staying in their car. A lot of people work at Macy's and Target and different high-end stores who are actually living in their car, and you would never know it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's remarkable. Victor, okay,
Hey.
making a group conversation. So
Yeah.
I would love to know, what is your own unique journey with mental health, or what inspired you to kind of like want to start the conversation?
Well, when I actually moved out to Venice 4 years ago, I was really exposed to it. I see it prevalent everywhere. I mean, obviously, it's an epidemic, like you said, across the country, across the world, really. And I saw it really it almost feels like the epicenter in Venice. And so you see it all over the streets. And I think we can all agree, you know, we need to do something to help homeless people get off the streets, get on their feet. But I basically wanted to use my platform. I'm not a professional like you or Mimi here, but I wanted to at least get people to become aware of it, right? To raise some awareness and come up with some very simple solutions. What I saw that I think it's called the Watt Company, this real estate company, had a challenge of how you can provide some solutions for the homeless here. And Venice Family Clinic actually won by doing what Mimi mentioned before, is strapping on backpacks with antibiotics and helping these people out on a very, very simple level, right? I have a friend, Chad Leesky, of a company called Lucky Bastard, and he provides men's apothecary companies, so like hygiene products and stuff. And he actually got people from homeless shelters on Skid Row. He went down there and from off of jail release and stuff, that to providing purpose to create jobs for these people. And I have another friend, J.R. Gallardi, who's the owner at Wiener Schnitzel. And he partnered with a friend to give hot dogs and socks, because what people don't realize is socks is a huge problem for homeless people. And so he was giving out tens of thousands of socks and hot dogs and stuff. I have another friend, Keith Wasserman at Resident Relief Foundation, who's helping provide subsidies for residents who, like you mentioned, like handymen and plumbers and painters and stuff, blue collar workers, who, you know, are living paycheck to paycheck, helping them out to make sure that they, you know, don't end up on the streets and stuff. So it's that kind of level, you know, to come in and provide something, right? Whatever that you can help with. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I guess that's what it is about, is providing like food, shelter, clothing. Oh, and this is the last one, I swear. But my friend, Jason Schneidman, who runs the Men's Groomer, on Lincoln Boulevard in Venice. He was actually went out on the street because he used to be, I don't know how much I can disclose, but yeah, he was actually living on the streets for a while. And
Wow.
he went back and helped people and was cutting hair for them to provide them with a fair appearance. And who knows what that leads to, a job interview or whatever. And if my private equity firm can provide some kind of internship for someone, and however we can do, like have a foundation arm to, you know, give them a chance to be a director to turn around and help with on the real estate aspect to provide people with shelter. And then the one other thing that I wanted to say is providing within, it's not only about, you know, providing them with a bed to sleep in, right? It's about providing education and rehab to maybe there is a single mom who is providing for a kid, or, you know, is living in some affordable housing, or that, you know, maybe she can also have some kind of education subsidy or something too. So
I love
yeah.
that. That's so powerful. And I really feel, you know, just in my niche and experience, I speak at middle schools and high schools, and I talk a lot about mental health and basically the things that I wish were taught when I was in high school, like classes about meditation, about self-care, and, you know, how to just take care of yourself as an adult, and how to kind of check in with yourself and think, you know, am I happy in this job, or how am I feeling in this relationship? And
Right.
I will say 98% of the teenagers that I speak with, all of them just will come up to me after or DM me on Instagram and say, Megan, you know, I love what you said, but I feel like I'm so afraid that my anxiety I'm having now at 15, or my depression, my bipolar, whatever it is, they're so afraid that it's going to affect, you know, how they are as an adult, or it's going to affect, can I hold a job? Can I do something? Am I going to be successful? Or it's just like it's a real fear. And so many teenagers are so afraid to talk about it or to ask for help because they don't want to be, you know, like sent off to some like boot camp, boarding school, where then it's like they're filled with shame and just guilt and all that stuff. So
That's such a good point that you make, actually, about the mental health, and even as far as like depression goes as well, because a lot of people may not, they may not understand it, right? They may not be opposed to it or whatever, but they may not say, like, how does that work? What do you mean? Why can't you simply be happy? Or, you know, and my mom, she actually got her doctorate, and she's a life coach, and she made a really good point, because my dad actually suffered from depression, and she said, it's not that simple. It actually, being depressed, you see, it's not like, oh, I'm about to go to bed and I get some anxiety or whatever. It's like, with full blown depression, you actually see the world through the lens of depression.
yeah.
And so it's like, it's harder to, unless you're a very empathic person, it's hard to comprehend that, of like every situation that you're in. It's not like, I don't want to use the term victim or anything, but you
No,
are
but
almost,
I totally get what you're,
yeah, you have to, like, that's the world that you really see it through. And so it's hard. Oh, okay. Mimi's grabbing something that has to do with it, but
Yeah,
I'll let her take it.
or something.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. Mom's advice always coming through.
See
But
if you guys can put this and see what it, can you guys read that? What does it say? Can you read that? Can you read it out loud?
Paris in the spring.
Oh, okay. Megan, can you see that? Say, it says, what it says is
It's
Paris
like backwards for me.
Yeah. So basically, that's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Basically, what you're saying is so important. People see the world based on their experiences,
Yep.
as well as what they're going through in the moment, like anxiety, depression.
Yeah.
And what that says is Paris in the spring, but usually when you're not so close to
I know.
people say it says Paris in the spring.
Yeah.
And so it's something I've used a lot because we see the world we want to see. We also see the world based on our background. So if you grew up in a family that was violent, and every time your parent went to go hit you, they went like that. But then you're in a room with me at an interview, and I go like that because I want to go grab my pencil behind me, then you're going to have a reaction. And when you have that traumatic reaction of like being triggered, your brain actually shuts down and goes into fight or flight. So you're in that interview, and you need to be present, and it's customer service, you have to be friendly, but your interviewer just did something that triggers you and you shut down, then you're not going to do well in the interview. And so trauma is a really big part of what we're talking about what could end someone up into homelessness. And most people who are homeless have had significant trauma in their lives. And you know what we found through the adverse childhood experience study through Kaiser in the 1990s, I think, is that most people have had trauma in their life. Some people more than others, right? And that is a significant contributor to our health. Even if you have never smoked, you have a higher risk of getting lung cancer if you've had significant trauma in your life. And so, and the statistics go on. And so trauma really contributes, as a child, contributes to your medical health and your mental health. And so I think that's a big part of this conversation too. But you both have such amazing ideas. And you're both doing amazing things in the community, even not as professional mental health pros. So it's terrific.
Thanks. I'm trying.
Someone left a question. Patrick Ryan Delhanty
Okay.
said, what is the biggest mental health issue you're seeing during this pandemic, current Black Lives Matter movement?
That's actually, I'm glad you brought it up, because I was talking to Mimi before this, and I said, what kind of, statistics and percentages can we get on whether it's women or it's men, whether it's Black or white or Latino? And she's made a good point. She said, a lot of times what happens when you become homeless is your identity is lost. And so it's, everyone is kind of clumped together into this same pool of basically untouchables, right? And some, there's a really bad stigma that's put behind it. So tying in, I guess, the biggest problem that I can see, I mean, I'm seeing it from kind of a real estate perspective, is the housing. I think we're like a couple million houses, housing shelters short of actually providing housing for these, for people, let alone homeless people too. And so there are a lot of, one simple solution that I saw is there are a lot of containers, right, that are sitting in Long Beach that aren't actually shipped back to China from everything that we get imported here.
Right.
And so what a lot of developments are doing now is blocking these containers together and making it an actual livable place. There's Tony Shea from Zappos did this too in Vegas, and he has a place in Vegas, a little north of the Strip, called Container Park. It's really cool. If y'all haven't heard of it, you should check it out. The whole thing, retail shops, cool little stage for live music and everything, and it's all built from old shipping containers, which is really cool. Yeah. So I think it's something like that, where coming up with creative solutions, from not only on the public side from taxpayer dollars, but also on the private side too, to be able to subsidize this housing and make it more affordable. And so another point that is that we can tie in with everything that's going on with racial injustice and Black Lives Matter too, is that a lot of what I'm seeing too is, okay, why can't we get all these homeless people out of Venice, where people want to build very nice houses, and we ship them all out? Like what happened was, I think it was in New York or something, one of the governors gave every person who lives on the street a one-way bus ticket to like do with it what you will. And I don't know if that's, on the surface it seems like a good solution to like get people out of the city, but at the same time you're kind of basically kicking the can down the street and making it someone else's problem.
Yes.
So I think it's really, I was talking to Linda Lux at Venice Community Housing. I've been to a number of neighborhood council meetings and everything, and VCH, Venice Community Housing, actually provided one of their properties that they own into a homeless shelter, and it'll have like a mental health component, education component, and it's right across the street from Whole Foods. And so it's a very, like, a lot of nice houses around there, and some people may be concerned that it'll bring property values down, but with the big picture, I think that it's important to have that kind of diversity in the community, so that people are really seeing it from every aspect, so that they can still continue to help out. It's yeah, affluent and homeless people, and everybody in kind of the same neighborhood, I guess. But
I can talk about mental health. And I can answer for a sec about the most common mental health issues that are going on right now. And I would say it's anxiety. And I think that wouldn't surprise anyone. I think a lot of people started saying, hope you're doing okay in these uncertain times, right? The newscasters were calling it uncertain times. And when you hear the word uncertain, it makes you feel anxious. But we actually know what's happening. We know that we have a pandemic. We know that there's a lot of outrage around how Black people have been treated for centuries. And we know that we're not that close to a cure right now. And so for either problems. And so, but we're working on it. And so I think that anxiety is front and center right now. But the good thing about anxiety, and what you mentioned earlier, Megan, about young girls saying, I don't want it to be a death sentence, or to be terminal, or to be with me all my life, is anxiety, depression, there's help. And it doesn't have to be with you for the rest of your life, especially anxiety. There are tools, and you know this, Megan, because I saw on your blogs and stuff, is that there are tools to help you manage it. And there's a lot of help out there. And one of the most important things to do is to just talk about it.
Yeah.
And, connecting with another human being is the number one step, right? And it goes back to what you were talking about with homelessness. When someone's homeless and they're sitting on a bench, one of the most important things you can do is make eye contact and say hi. Like, if we can all just start there, because people experiencing homelessness, like you were saying earlier, feel like stigmatized, there's deep shame, and they feel very unseen and uncounted. And so if you acknowledge them, it's a little teeny boost to self-esteem because they feel seen. And growing up in an abusive household, you don't feel seen for who you really are. And so that feeling of not being seen is very old, and it's hard to get rid of. So we all can do our part, just starting with eye contact. Yeah.
I love that. And it is powerful, Mimi, because it's that boost of, I see you, I hear you, like I am holding this, like I understand you. And it's, it's like that they're still a person. And I feel like if you were to just walk by and be like, oh gosh, don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
They just feel, oh, I'm not a person, and I've reached, this rock bottom land.
Yep.
People can't even look me in the eyes. And that is a great tip that everyone here listening and watching can take away. The next time you do see someone, homeless, or they look like they're struggling, just smile or wave or make eye contact. And it's just, they feel validated, and they feel like, it's like, it could literally change their whole day.
Yes. And homeless folks have told me that. People living in their car, people in the neighborhood start to recognize it. They'll come out and bring food, and people are so touched by that. Yeah. It's part of us creating a community too, and that helps with anxiety and depression, feeling part of something. So
yes, I love that. I would also, Victor, do you want to add anything?
No, that was it. Yeah. That was it. As long as I can at least use, like I mentioned before, use my platform to. This is an initial conversation, right? To at least the start of at least to everybody talking about it and becoming aware of it, and whatever comes of it is going to be better than everybody being silent about it. And so whatever we can do to help continue to bring more awareness. So
yeah. And me, really quick, or Victor too, I would love to know, what are like 3 really easy, quick steps that people watching can do today to make a difference? Like, whether it is like waving or just smiling, like what are simple things that people, like tangible things that everyone can do?
Well, first I'll start with something that we can do for ourselves. And I think that you probably talk a lot about this too, but at least take a moment every day for yourself to remember that it's going to be okay. And when you feel like it's not, try to remember back to something that you've accomplished, or a hard time you made it through, and remember that you can make it through this too. So if we can start to heal ourselves, center ourselves, calm ourselves, we call it self-soothing, then we'll be in a better place to give to someone else.
Right.
And then do you want one, something like that?
What's that? No,
First, tips to
no,
do.
continue. Yeah, this is good. Yeah.
So we started talking about eye contact. So I'm thinking about people who are actually on the streets. And so if you want to offer to buy someone something when you're going in a drugstore, if you want to offer to buy someone something to eat when you're going into a food place, if you want to do something on a bigger scale, like you or Victor just talking about how you'd love to give an internship to someone. Well, if you do own a business, or you can think of a role for someone who's trying to get out of homelessness, then you can contact a place in LA, and we have an agency called Chrysalis. And at Chrysalis, they help people find jobs. And so if they know more places that are willing to hire someone who's been out of work for a while and give them a chance, that would be great. And then you can always refer people here to the Venice Family Clinic. If they're looking like they have an injury, they're scraped, they're looking very thin, and they just need some health care, let them know that we are Venice Family Clinics here, and there's a whole collaborative of places that we refer to that work with us, like the People Concerned, to find shelter. The last thing is we do have food here on Tuesdays. We give out fruits and vegetables on Tuesday mornings for people who are having a hard time, and they are donated to us from farmers and different places.
That's amazing. Incredible.
Yeah, that was good. And my real estate mentors, George Pino and Joe Killinger, the first real estate firm that I worked for out here, helped expand and find locations for Chrysalis. Yeah, so I'll vouch. And then I guess one solution that I could think of is, rather than giving somebody a buck, which is great, right? Giving them money, but what I like to do, like Mimi mentioned, is buy them a snack or drop off some food for them, or giving them a case of water or something. Something as simple as that can really change someone's day. So, what about you, Megan?
I would say, I mean, just kind of like piggybacking off of what you both said, it's just, the domino effect of spreading positivity and just putting a smile on someone's face. And, if you give them a case of water, it's like they could take like, one water bottle themselves.
Right.
Give one to each of their friends, and then their friends feel, like better about themselves. Cause it's like, it sounds simple and kind of like cheesy, but it's really true. If they feel like, they ate a healthy meal or more hydrated, or like they took care of themselves in some way, they're going to feel more confident, and then they are going to, spread positivity to someone else. But I do agree with, maybe instead of giving money, give a healthy meal if you're walking into like, Tender Greens or Whole Foods or something.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's just doing what we can and educating ourselves, and just being aware of our behavior when we are around homeless people, or people who they may look like they're struggling. It's just, being mindful of, okay, how am I acting? Am I turning the other way once just be mindful of, they're still a person, just being aware.
And Venice Family Clinic here, Michelle Stuffman, I think, is in the other room. She made a comment. It said a good first step to getting people out of homelessness is to connect them to a homeless provider or community-based organization. So,
yeah, that's incredible. Well, thank you. This is so much fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Well, thanks for coming up with the idea. You initially started this. You reached out and said when you wanted to go live, and then I reached out to Mimi to make the tremendous trio here.
That was fun. Hopefully none of us got infected.
Yeah.
But thank you, Victor, for reaching out to Venice Family Clinic. That was you, so thank you.
Of course.
Both of you for having us.
Yes, thank you both, and I hope this is the beginning of more open conversations and just educating others and raising awareness.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. Well, have a good day.
You too. Thank you, Mimi.
Okay, bye. 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 Thank you.
Bye.